What can you expect after a quantum healing hypnosis session and how to integrate? Hi, Federica here. Today in this video at Lifting Consciousness, we're going to focus on the post session. If you haven't done it already, you can find information about the pre and during the session, what the session is about and what to expect, how to lead yourself and the conversation that dance or battle with your own rational mind during the session to make sure that you really are prepared to reach and unlock all the benefits of the session and that channeling of your higher self. In this video, we're going to focus a little bit more on the after and what are some of the most common experiences that I hear from my clients or other people that have experienced sessions. So, during the session, straight after the session, it might be very common for the person to experience different sensation. This could be feeling a little bit more tired, or the body feeling heavy, or feeling a little bit weird sensation. There could be release of like emotional relief. There could be tears of joy. It's really unique. Some people feel more energized. Some people may have received healing, including like perceiving and noticing physical changes. Depends on how the session went and what was the necessity, what did the person ask for and what was unlocked during the session. Some people may be more in a stage of surprise, as in also in that beautiful bliss and surprise, but also joy of that connection with their soul. Because as we said, trance, it's a very common state. We are always, in a way, always hypnotized. Just accessing that different level of trance, that different level of awareness, of brain waves within ourselves and our awareness. But what we refer to ego or our rational mind is always in the scene. So maybe with different percentage level, it's not a blank yes or no, it's always there. It's like right now, if you're listening to this video, your attention could be right awake at 100%, could be 70%. Maybe you're doing something else in the background and your receptiveness of this video is at 20%. So it really can flow in stages. If this makes sense, it's going to be exactly the same during the session where your attention flows. So straight after the session, the person normally has still a remembering or an awareness of most of the session. What I find common is when I ask the client, what is the last part that you remember? They most likely would share about the first or the second image that they saw from the past life revisitation. Then all the other part of the channeling of the higher self, they may have some, like sometimes blank, sometimes rough, approximate remembering. When they allocate time later on to re-listen to the audio recording, I generally have the feedback of, well, actually I remembered, but re-listening to the audio helped me to bring up to light or to my better awareness messages that I couldn't just yet remember straight after the session. So this is also my advice for people. Do not wait. Those of you who are new to this type of work, the session will be recorded. So you will have the audio to record, and this is also beneficial for you. Every time that you listen to the recording, there might be more insight. It's like when you hear to a video multiple times or when you read a book. As the attention flows, sometimes in listening the same book or hearing the same messages, there might be multiple factors. A couple could be the brain waves of your attention changes, and so it may land in different points. Did it ever happen to you? You listen to the same video or same song a couple more times, like 2 or 10 times, and you're like, where was this before? I didn't realize this message was in this content, and it was always there. The content has not changed. It's like your awareness of the content changed. A second thing that may happen that is very common, and this is also relevant for when you're going to re-listen the audio recording of the quantum healing hypnosis session for our time, is like your level of preparation to receive the message is going to change. So oftentimes, it's not that you did not hear it, like in an auditory way the first time, but maybe you were not prepared. You were not prepared maybe the first time, and it doesn't, here as well, it doesn't need to be necessarily a black or white yes or no scenario. It could be in progressive incrementation, as in you hear to something, you hear something once, and that sort of a trigger is planting the seed, and then you hear again, and now you're a little bit more ready, and so on. This analogy would relate particularly to those of you who during the session have received a confirmation or a message from the higher self that is in regards to changing something within life. So say, for example, you ask for guidance about navigating a personal decision, a career choice, a family or intimate relationship decision, and you have received a guidance from your own soul that maybe invited you to do something that within that inner gut sense or heart sense you knew deep down, and maybe friends or people in your network have been advising you to do that for a long time, but there is a part of you that is not ready to listen. In other words, you're not ready to embrace the change just yet. And you have 100% the right to do that. This is your experience, you have free will, you have free choice. You can shape your reality in the best way that you prefer. Some of you are not conscious, and so get ready to discover the freedom and the power of creation that you have. Many of you are getting more and more familiar with this concept. And so it's so beautiful when you roll up your sleeves, you take responsibility for your existence, and you can see, okay, I know, like, the more I'm going to delay to make this choice in a way that serves me better, in a way that better aligns me with my soul, the tougher it's going to be. The tougher it's going to be, the more my inner soul is going, the more my soul is going to suffer, the more. And how do you know? That may present with that sensation of feeling deep down inside unhappy, confused, lost, frustrated, in anxiety. Emotions are like indications, are like arrows that points you in the direction of which is the best path for you. So if you delay following the indication of your emotion, like generally good emotion, and there is another video I have created giving a little bit more advices on exercises and practical techniques that you can practice to know if an emotion, if a perception of joy or excitement, is that the mind running, following a trend or an external trend from society or from people around you? Or is that a pure excitement coming from the voice of your soul or your heart? In other words, are you aligned with the path that is in the best interest of the highest good? Or you're just following things that other people are making you think it's good, but in reality it's not good for you. So in the long term, you're still gonna end up feeling unhappy, frustrated, and disaligned. By going within, we get to have the senses. So how is this relevant to the possession of the quantum healing hypnosis technique? I'll tell you right now. All this is relevant because many people come to the session and then really appreciate the guidance that they have. So you leave the session with this sense of you just had a very interesting experience, you had a profound experience of connecting with your own soul, and for some of you that's going to be the first time actually hearing and discovering that connection with your soul. Some of you are more familiar with that, so you have the experience of that connection, which is so powerful. Then when it comes to the messages that are contained in the audio recording, it is really up to you whether to follow and implement those or not. It's like to say, like nowadays we have so much information on the internet, you can learn to do anything. You can learn how to become a millionaire, implement AI and launch a website, play guitar, anything that you want to do, yeah? But there is a huge difference between the person that hears the message and then goes and acts upon it, and the person that hears the message and then does nothing with it. Make sense? So it's not going to be different. Like you have received this wonderful guidance, those of you who comes to the session asking guidance and indication or advices for how to make the life better, it could be also health related. So it could be you have received guidance, you have received insight to what is best for you, what is your soul recommending you to change or to integrate. It could be with your nutrition, with the things that you do. It's very common to hear meditate more, like create time in nature, create time to tune in with yourself, reconnect with your emotion. It could also be tangible, practical things. I've heard I yourself saying to the client during the session, she needs to integrate this food, or this is not good for her. She needs to do these changes, and they would name particular foods or activities. So something specific, something that is more tangible, that then when the person receives the message, they know, like there's a more tangible and clear guidance that they have received. What I hear from the clients that have done nothing about it is very different than the breakthrough and the progression that I hear from clients that have been following. The more, in other words, the more the person that then creates space after the session, and I would not recommend waiting too long. I would still advise listen to the audio recording in a moment where you can be present with yourself and with the message. There's no distraction, there is no pressure from work, there is no family members interfering. You have your own space and time. And ideally, a time where if anything is unlocked, example, any emotion comes up or you feel you want time for yourself, you have the luxury or the possibility of doing that. So say you listen and then you feel the necessity, this is very common, to ground or to spend some time in nature, or to have a nap, to rest, you can do that. So take a better decision when you open up. It's not something that you want to do just before having, I don't know, a work meeting, or you need to be present for your family or for society. Make sure that you listen when you have time for yourself. But after you listen, they're going to be layered like those messages that you can metabolize and digest in progressive increments. Some of you will take it right away and are ready to act upon it, and some of you, it may take a little bit more time. In the example of making a big change or decision, just be kind with yourself, because it is common that it can take a while. But my advice is keep checking with yourself and still don't ignore the message. You can choose to ignore the message, but then you're gonna go back to square one, like the first reason why you came to the session, because maybe you feel frustrated, you feel unhappy. You're giving the power to other people around you to define you, and you don't know who you are. But then you can embrace that beautiful journey. Like, if oftentimes in this case scenario, even the soul would advise, connect with yourself, meditate, listen to your emotion, don't give too much power, accept the other people the way they are, don't take it too seriously. As in, don't allow other people to define. But something is, it comes from a stranger on the internet, and it's very different if you hear and you feel that from the higher self. Let's remember, during these experiences, you won't only have the auditory experience to listen to, but you would also have the energy sensation of the higher self that comes within the body. Me close by, very often I also feel the energy shift in the room, so it is really perceivable. Energy work is so much more normalized nowadays. Beautiful. It is perceivable that there is a change, there is a different energy, there is a different personality in the room. Whether you believe that or not, this is not relevant. You would have the audio recording anyway, and you will be able to realize what has changed. It's so beautiful to see the reaction of the people. Say, well, actually, I was very skeptical, but it's so mind-blowing and it's so unique to feel like I felt the change. I felt something different within the body. It is something within me went aside and something new came in. The more a person starts to connect with that inner voice of the soul, and the more that beautiful reconnection and reconciliation with the own self-path of alignment starts to take better step and becomes better. And this is so beautiful. This is exactly the reason why many people approach more and more with spiritual work or this type of session. We said already, quantum healing hypnosis session is different than normal type of hypnosis. So it's really that connection with the soul, with the messages and the guidance of your soul, that it's so beautiful. But if many, this is something that they are craving and that they are beautifully, intentionally looking for other people, this is very new. And so Another really common pattern that I observe and perceive in people after the session is like they still haven't got a sense. They enjoyed the session, they enjoyed the experience, they really did benefit from it, but at the same time, they cannot quite grasp what happened. And this is very common, especially in people of type A and B, which I refer to the logic skeptical, and the hybrid. Type 3 is what I refer to the visual spiritual. These are just three, the label, the terminology, the words that I use. You can change it, it's something that makes more sense for you. I try to refer to what level there is that balance between the voice of the soul and the voice of the ego. People that are experienced with meditation or similar experiences are more open, are more accustomed, are more familiar with welcoming or receiving senses, vision, knowing, auditory, that following the gut, following senses, knowing what is right for you, living in joy, really feeling alive, joyful within, happy from the soul. Some people are in between, some people are just used to use the mind and use the mind to make decisions. But again, if most often you have a sense that you don't know who you are, you don't know what is the sense of your life, there is a sense of anxiety, frustration, stress, anxiety, those are normally signs. It's like indication for you that something is off. So you can see that as the beautiful opportunity to embark on a journey to rediscover and reconciliate with the voice of the self. Type A, so if you're more accustomed to use the mind, it makes sense that the integration for you after the quantum healing hypnosis technique may be a little bit more demanding. And I see sometimes even months after the person has still not grasped too much what happened, what can be the consequence of that? The result of that could be that if the person has really not followed through, has not had, and I keep reinforcing, it takes courage to look within. And it can be beautiful, but it's like when you need to clean a room, for example, that hasn't been cleaned for a year. That's unpleasant, granted, perfect. But unless you do the cleaning, you won't be able to get to clean, beautiful, light stage. If you don't do what is unpleasant first or uncomfortable, you won't get to the joy part. So the more you delay that stage, and the more you're making the process unpleasant for you. But what about you try to find the way that works for you to go through the process? So in the analogy of the cleaning, find a way that works for you, maybe break it down in small steps that are digestible for you, find support from someone else, match it with something that is enjoyable for you. For example, listening to music. Find a playful way to look within you. This is what I'm saying. Find a way that works for you so that you can have the courage. Don't make it that serious. So break that down in small steps that are fine with you, that you know, set yourself up for winning, that you can go within and discover, and like with a torch, do your own shadow work within you for the things that you know are causing trauma or suffering. Just observe, acknowledge them without judgment, create space, thank the information, let them go. And if I yourself during the session of Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique gave you advices, have the freedom of choice, but make sure you make the best choice that is for you. Maybe at some point you're going to realize it's time not to put your life decision in other people's power, and you can better reclaim your own power respectfully to make the best decision, just to give yourself permission to be you, give yourself permission to express yourself. Without going off topic, this is so relevant because this is what I see the most from some of you that approach the session and still have that resistance from the ego and rational mind, that the experience was beautiful but something was off, or they're not too sure. What happens if you keep waiting? So you have the messages from the soul. What happens if you keep waiting, if you keep delaying taking decision? You are free to do and to manage your life in whichever way you prefer. But just understand and realize that the more you wait, and the longer it's going to take you to go back to happy stage. Now, on the bright side, for some of you, the ones that are, no, I'm on the path, I've done my work, I am familiar, I'm open to this work, I called for it, I've showed up, I received the message, I've been acting on it. This is so exciting. And what I see, what I perceive, like it humbles me so much, because this is such a beautiful work. Also to be able, like, it's beautiful. I teach to others, but I learn so much from each person and each situation that presents on my path, that it's so beautiful. And I can really see, like, for example, someone, the higher self has advice to this person, like, you have a schedule, what can you do? The person has asked, what can I do to become better? What can I do to sustain my well-being and my health? And the response from the higher self was, well, you have a schedule, you draw a schedule for you, even for example, to move or exercise, you just have to follow that schedule. It's like she has it, it's just he has to show up to do it. And she took it playfully, she like had the strength to acknowledge this is true. And then she went and acted upon it. And so beautiful, it's like when you show up, when you show to your soul that you listen, you have listened, you're acting upon it, like prepare for miracles, because beautiful things happen. And so then it was so beautiful to receive the updates on beautiful things that happen in their life. So not only a sense of joy, a sense of peace, this is another common thing of you can expect after the session, a sense of, like, when you get that level of guidance, a sense of relief. It's like if you were torn between a decision and you hear the guidance from the soul, that gives you like really the peace of mind and the peace of the heart and the soul to know what is then best for you. And once you know, you cannot unknow. And this is going to also help you for your journey to make better decision and be able to distinguish what is the emotion, how is the sensation, or how is the internal conversation when it's something is right for you, when something is not right for you. In other words, this experience is also going to prepare you better to navigate your life better when you keep going down on your own. And surely it's going to point you in the right direction with something that you may do more of or something that you can do less of. The integration's part, although it's so whether people make sense and digest the fact that they have trans-channeled the voice of the higher self, what makes the most difference is whether they act upon the message or they not, whether they take the opportunity to embrace that connection, that relationship with their own soul, or if they keep going on just with the track of the mind and going off track. That's gonna make, so the sum up is the power is within you. The power is really within you to decide what's gonna happen after the session. I can guide you, like practitioner can advise you, be gentle with yourself. If you need to rest up a little bit more, do so. Try to spend time in nature. Don't rush decisions. Take your time if you need to make decision. And just take it playfully, take it in a way that you can develop. Take it with grace, take it in a way that resonates with you. Take it with no judgment, with acceptance, with curiosity, with that beautiful curiosity of a child, that you can discover more and more of yourself and keep going progressing in life with what you have received from the guidance of the Quantum Healing Hypnosis session. I hope this was helpful, and if there's anything else that you would like to have clarification upon, just write it down in the comment and I'm happy to expand about it. Hi everyone, see you at the next video.